Hello, hello, All Free Crochet community. Selena Baca here, founder, host, lead educator with the ACA, and I am hosting our current mystery crochet along with my good friends at the All Free Crochet community. I'm here today because part 3 was just released. You guys can click on the link in the video description after this video to get all of the details, including everything that you need to know about this next part. So this video chat here today is just to talk you guys through those steps in this part and answer any questions that you might have about this crochet along. If you guys want to make sure that you are up to date on all things that matter in this mystery crochet along, make sure that you subscribe to get updates. Now, you can't just click on the link and just keep checking back every week, or whenever you click on the link, just make sure that you hit that subscribe button and you'll get an email every time that there's an update on this crochet along challenge. Now, if you guys have been following me all this time, if you've been watching the past videos, then you'll know that this is a mystery crochet along for a granny square poncho. Now, we know what we're making. We know it has granny squares. What is a mystery is what it's going to look like and how it's going to fit and how it's going to come together. But with every new part of this crochet along, that mystery is kind of getting unraveled just a little bit. So I'm really excited about this particular part because you're going to see how the first panel is going to be created. There's actually a diagram, not only so that you can see how the granny squares fit together in terms of there being just a joining strip of granny squares, but you're going to see that panel being worked from the granny squares. So you're going to see two different diagrams. The first diagram that you're going to see is just a stitch chart. So if you guys like to see things visually and you like those diagram stitch charts where it shows you exactly, a picture of those stitches, I've got you covered. So I have that aspect, but I also have a diagram that shows you all of the different sizes that the pattern says that you can make. So depending on how many granny squares that you're making, it shows you what that measurement should be and then what the panel measurement should be. So there's a few different diagrams that are going to be really helpful for you as you're going through this crochet along. And if you've had any question, and I've been reading all of the questions that I see when you guys comment using the hashtag granny square poncho. Hold on, let me make sure I always think that I have it right and I'm like, I missed something. Okay, whenever you guys use the hashtag, as I've used in this video, hashtag Granny Poncho CAL 2022. So that's Granny Poncho CAL 2022. Don't quote me on it. Just use what I've used in the video. Long hashtag, amazing results. Anyway, whenever you guys use that hashtag, I see your questions, I see your comments, I see what yarn that you're using. And it does look like that some of you guys are like, how does this, So if you have any questions about how this is going to come together, this particular part should help, okay? All right, if you are watching live, come on over, say hey, say hello, tell me where you're viewing from. If you have any questions about this crochet along, this part or otherwise, go on ahead and post it and I'll get to it as soon as I see it, okay? All right, so let's dive into part 3. We've already talked about yarn. We've talked about materials. I've given you some tips and tricks for that. Tips and tricks for joining your different granny squares together. And now we're into part 3. So part 3 assumes that you've already created all of your individual granny squares and you've joined them together so that it creates the total length of your poncho, okay? So this poncho is created in lots of different parts. You're crocheting all these granny squares together, and that's gonna be the length, and that length goes over a shoulder. So you're gonna be creating 2 lengths of granny squares, okay? So you're gonna create 1 length of granny squares that joins here, and then you're gonna create a second one length of granny squares, it's going here. So those granny squares are just going to to be in the center of this poncho. So they're really just going to be highlighted in the center beautifully. So if you want any information on sizing or anything like that, watch my past videos, click on the link in the video description, get more information. So this particular part, again, it assumes that you've already created those two granny square strips. Now what we're going to do is individually, we're going to work on one long side of those granny square strips. So the long side means that you're working into those individual granny squares, okay? We're going to continue that granny square stitch, that stitch pattern, and working long ways, we're going to continue that granny square stitch pattern across the length of the strip. Again, there are two diagrams that show this. So if you like written instructions, I've got you. If you like charts, I've got you. If you like diagrams, I've got you. So between all of those things, hopefully this next part just kind of unravels to make sense. Now, what I love about this particular part of the granny square poncho is that right now you've only made 2 strips, and you may go, how exactly is this going to fit? I'm not really sure. This part is really going to unveil what the sizing and what the fit is going to look like. Now, I designed this granny square poncho so that the size can be very flexible, so that the style can be very flexible. And that way, if you want to choose a different yarn or something like that, then you should be able to choose that different yarn. And as you're making your squares, as you're creating them in length, as you're adding this panel to that strip of granny squares, you're going to be able to quickly and easily see how it's sizing. So as you're creating one side of your panel, remember those granny squares are going to be in the center here. You're going to create your panel, and it's going to create length outward. So however many rows you create in that panel, that's going to be the width of one side of your poncho. You can follow my pattern exactly if you'd like, especially if you're using the exact same yarn, or you can add more rows to that panel to make it longer. You can make this poncho as long as you'd like, as long as is comfortable for you. You can make it a little shorter if you don't want it to be so long. So you can absolutely measure as you go. You can try it on as you go to see where you think it's going to fit best. And if you're not entirely sure, follow the pattern as it is. Create both sides of your panels, because next week we're going to talk about seaming those 2 panels together, so that way you're going to create a neck opening that you're comfortable with, okay? Because there could be too much neck opening, there could be not enough neck opening. Next week we're going to tackle that. So as you're creating your 2 panels, you can absolutely try it on as you go. If you're not sure about size and fit and you don't want to really kind of commit to putting these pieces together, I strongly recommend using locking stitch markers like this one. And that way, when you've added your panel rows to your granny square strips and you're not really sure how it's going to fit, what you can do is you can use these little interlocking stitch markers and just use them to hold your granny square panels together on the front and on the back. Leave a neck opening. That's going to do a few things. Yeah, it's going to get you ready for next week, maybe a little early if you guys are ready for that. But also, you're going to be able to try on in real time what that garment, and that way you can see what you want that overall width to be of the entire garment. So that's a good little trick for you guys in case you're not sure how far to go, but you're not ready to seam it together yet. Okay, and again, that's next week. So, you know, we can wait just a little bit for that. All right, guys, so that's everything that I wanted to mention today. Sorry, guys. Foxy Brown, my cat, wants to say hello to everyone. She's old and she thinks I'm talking to her. Sorry. So whenever I'm doing live videos, she comes in here and yells at me. She's like, I'm here. What is it? Sorry, guys. She's just so excited about this poncho. All right, guys. So those are all the tips and tricks I wanted to tell you guys about this particular part. I hope you're enjoying this process. I hope you're enjoying this theme. If you have questions, comments, feedback, I'm always just a comment away. So keep those coming, especially when you use the hashtag in this group. I'll definitely be able to see what you're working on, and I'll be able to quickly see any questions that you guys have. Whew. All right, let's see who is here and what you guys are saying. It looks like Nancy is here. Jennifer is here. Teresa is here and says hello to everyone. Mary is here and says hello, Selena and everyone. So friendly. I love it. Tanya is here. Hello, my friend. Tanya saying hey to everybody. I love that just everybody is here just to make it a fun community. Joni is here watching. Teresa is here from West Tennessee. My friend Jerry Sue Tinker is here. Always good to see you, my friend. I'm so excited to see how your Granny Square poncho is coming out. You picked a beautiful yarn and a beautiful color, and you always look so fantastic when you model what you make. So I can't wait to see. I'm really excited. Mary is here from New York City. Nancy is here from Phoenix, Arizona. Jennifer is checking in from New York. Ingrid is here from South Africa. So good to see you here. Ingrid says, looking forward to the written instructions. Yes, when you click on the link in the video description, wherever that may be, you're going to get the written instructions for part 3 of this crochet along. Part 3 is, of course, the rows of the panel that are worked after you create your strip of granny squares. And again, not only do we have those written instructions, I have a diagram of what one panel should look like. Remember, you guys are going to create 2. And I also have a stitch diagram showing you exactly what that panel looks like worked onto those granny squares. Where you place your stitches, how many stitches you place, all that jazz, it's all there. So definitely take a peek and let me know what you guys think. If you guys are missing out on this, or you don't know when it's happening and you don't want to be checking in every single day, click on the link in the video description. You're going to get all of the details on this crochet along, including a little trick, all right? Click on the subscribe button and you'll get an email notification every time we have an update on this crochet along. And that way you can keep it up to date. You don't have to remember anything. You don't have to keep logging in, and you can complete this crochet along in real time as we're doing it. So make sure you guys sign up for those email notifications. Let's see. Ingrid says, I am still looking for a yarn with a long color. Yeah, I think that a long color looks beautiful with this because it really highlights all of that work in those individual granny squares that we're creating. But I will say that there are some really creative yarn choices that have been used outside of the yarn that I'm suggesting here. So whenever you click on, you guys can do it right here, click on the hashtag, the Granny Poncho Crochet Along, you'll see other yarns that people have used, other yarn colors. And if you're not really sure if a yarn color or a yarn will work for this, just try it by making at least one granny square and see what you think. See what you think about the color and the application and the fabric that you're creating. And as I said in the first video, but I'll say it again right now, but definitely go back and watch the first video that I created. If you don't have a variegated yarn, but you still want to highlight how this is different, I think that it can be done really well with solid color. And what I mean by that is you can use solid color in a way that, however you like, that's going to differentiate the different granny squares that you're making. When I had this pattern tested with multiple pattern testers, a few of my testers did that and they did it fantastically. I can't share those yet, but as we're done with this crochet along and we've unveiled it and it's no longer a mystery, I will absolutely have those projects to share with you, and then maybe you'll get a little bit more inspiration about how to get creative with color here. So hopefully that helps, Ingrid, but definitely keep us posted. June, Marshall is here. Hello, June. So good to see you. Ingrid says, excellent idea with the stitch markers. Yes, absolutely. I completely understand that because this is a mystery and you guys have never made this before, obviously, maybe you've never constructed something like this in parts, and you may be a little timid about how this is going to look and how it's going to fit. So again, as you create your different panels before you fasten off your yarn for them, use these stitch markers, these locking stitch markers, or paper clips, or just tie them to, tie a bow with, scrap yarn if you don't have stitch markers. Whatever you want to do that will not securely, right? Because you don't want to fasten them together permanently. You just kind of want to see how it fits. So if you just use stitch markers or something of the like to to hold those panels together, then you can see exactly what that fit and that style is going to be. And that way, before you fasten off your yarn, before you do any of that stuff, you can try on your poncho. Again, don't fasten it together yet. I got some more tips for you guys, okay? You can see how long it is. You know, you may feel like, oh, well, I want my poncho to go past my elbow. But then once you get it on, you may go, you know what, that's a little big. Maybe I want it to go above my elbow. So trying it on that way is really it's gonna be a helpful way for you to get the best style and fit that you want. Tanya says, do you have a sample of what the poncho should look like at this level? I cannot share anything with you yet outside of, I have it over there, but I'm not showing you just yet. I'm doing you one better though. I'm offering 2 different diagrams for you. So when you click on the link in the video description, you're going to not only see the written instructions, you're going to see a diagram including size dimensions, and you're also going to see a stitch chart. So it's going to share those individual granny squares and what the panel looks like being worked on those individual granny squares. So Tanya, definitely click over and take a peek and let me know what you think, okay? Especially if you have any questions. Callista is here watching. Sandra is watching. Mary is here. Donna is watching. Tanya. Okay, Tanya says, disregard. I just saw the chart. Don't fret. I'm so glad that you're asking. Any questions are absolutely welcome because I want to make sure that this crochet along is fun. You guys know where to find things, and that way you're not wasting any time or yarn. You can just dive in when you're ready. So hopefully these videos are just a fun way that we can kind of read between the lines a little bit and just make projects that we really love and we're really proud of. And maybe we can all learn a little something along the way. All right. Okay, guys, that is everything that I see today. I think I've given everyone a shout out. I cannot wait to see the next part of your ponchos. So keep posting in this group, especially using the hashtag. I love seeing your updates. I love seeing the colors that you choose. I'm really excited to see how these come along. So keep us all posted. All right. Okay, everybody, I will see you next time. I am super excited to just unravel this with you guys together. Peace, love, crochet. Bye-bye.